Our first French-Canadian Prime Minister, Wilfrid Laurier, used to like to tell the fable about the wind and the sun. There was a challenge to see who was stronger, who could get a traveler's coat off. First, the wind blustered and blew, but the traveler just held on tighter and tighter. Then the sun simply smiled, shining down on the traveler, gently warming him until he willingly removes his coat. Laurier used the term sunny ways to explain that persuasion is superior to force, how kindness trumps aggression. I love that story, and it's as relevant to today's politics as it has ever been. I want to talk about our economy. I'll leave out the attacks and partisanship. Instead, I want to show you that we have the means to grow the economy and improve life for the middle class at the same time. The middle class matters. One great thing about my job is that I get to travel across Canada and see how economic success in one part of the country benefits us all. But I'm also seeing something that troubles me. Middle-class Canadians are beginning to doubt our economic progress. They're worried about their retirement, about sending their kids to college, about whether they're giving their children a real and fair chance at success. You can describe the economy in lots of different ways. Economists use all kinds of numbers and charts. Here's one showing the average economic growth rate each year under each of our prime ministers since the 30s. Being a liberal, I kind of like this one. But people often ask me how I define a strong economy. It's pretty simple. A strong economy is one that provides the largest possible number of good jobs to the largest number of Canadians. An economy that works not from the top down, but because of the middle class, the people who live off their incomes, not their assets. And right now, they're hurting. Over the last 30 years, Canada's economy has more than doubled in size. Not bad. But how about personal incomes? Since 1981, they've only risen about 15%. 15%. In fact, the only thing that's really kept pace with GDP growth is household debt. And it's not luxury spending putting families in debt. It's the cost of things we need, like healthy food and school supplies. But this isn't true for everyone. Let's look at the wealthiest 1% and their income growth. How about the 0.1%? And I worry that at some point Canadians will say, why should we support a growth agenda if it doesn't help my family? And Canadian families need help. We're now carrying more household debt than families in the US and the UK. It's estimated that because of that, the average 35-year-old puts aside less than half of what her or his parents did. And that's troubling. But it's not all bad news. There are rays of sunshine. In the 90s, Canadians made some tough economic choices, so now our federal government is in a far better position than it once was. This shows our net debt to GDP ratio, the ratio of what our government owes compared to the size of our economy. Back then, our debt represented 70% of the wealth our economy generated. Today, it's less than half that. We've cut our debt dramatically, and that's a great thing. The US and the UK, well, today, their government debt ratios are past 75%. They are where we were. So what does that mean? It means that while the middle class is tapped out, the federal government has room to invest. What about the provincial and territorial governments? Well, they're feeling tapped out as well. They're under enormous pressure with aging populations and rising healthcare costs. So the Government of Canada needs to step up. Some will point out that solutions cost money, that fiscal responsibility is important. Well, fiscal responsibility is important. So we have to ask ourselves, how do we achieve real fiscal responsibility over the long term, not just the illusion of it at election time? The answer is growth. The federal government has an important role to play in that, but mostly it has an obligation to lead. Here's why. As middle-class Canadians grow more anxious about their economic prospects, it becomes harder to solve every other problem we face as a nation. We bicker, we fight, we begin to look for scapegoats, not solutions. And that's not going to help the middle class. We have an opportunity to put a national focus on our people, to invest in things that will benefit and strengthen the middle class. If we can raise our post-secondary education attainment rate to 70%, we'll meet Canada's future job market needs. We have to support our new immigrants, many of whom are entrepreneurs with fresh ideas. We have to be strategic about foreign direct investment and trade. Jobs in the competitive export sectors pay higher wages, and we need to access the opportunities in the world's growing economies. We have to understand that smart, strategic infrastructure investment creates jobs. We have to ask ourselves, how do we stay on the cutting edge of innovation? We've spent billions on research, but we still lag behind our competitors on productivity. We have to make sure our cities and communities are incubators for innovation. We're talking about positive, constructive ways to move the country forward to help everyone succeed, the successful, the struggling, and the middle class. With Canadians, our caucus of MPs, and the grassroots of the Liberal Party, we're working to build a platform for the 2015 election. Remember, this isn't about me, and it's not about the Liberal Party. It's about you, your family, your community, your country, our country. With a little hope and a lot of hard work, there's no problem Canadians can't solve together.